Today we're going to be going over 7.4, volume of cones. So just like the last lesson going over pyramids, we're going to have the same formula for cones. So for volume, you're going to multiply 1/3 times the area of the base times the height. And remember, just like with pyramids, you can also do area of the base times the height divided by 3. Okay, so with cones, you're going to get your area of the base, and remember with circles, to find the area of the base, it's pi times the radius squared. Okay, so those are the things to remember. We're going to go over a couple of examples, and you should be taking notes. Make sure that you add your formula to your ring of formulas on your index cards, and have your notes so that you can look at them when you take your test and when you're working on your homework. All right, so our first example is finding volume of a cone. So we've got a cone here. It has a diameter of 4 meters and it has a height of 6 meters. So we've got 1/3 area of the base times the height. Okay, so 1/3, remember pi times the radius squared. And remember, this is giving us our diameter, which goes all the way across. We want the radius, which is half. So half of 4 is 2 squared times our height. So 2 squared is going to be 4 times 6. And then divide that by 3. We end up with an 8 pi. 8 times 3.14 gives us 25.12. Round to the nearest tenth, like it usually asks you for on your homework assignments and on your test. So our volume for this cone is going to be 25.1 meters cubed. Remember, pi is 3.14. Okay, that is finding volume of a cone. Our next problem is going to be finding the height of a cone. So we have our cone here. We don't know what the height is, but it gives us a radius of 9 feet, and it also tells us that the volume for this cone is 956 feet cubed. So we have our formula, and we go ahead and plug in our numbers that we do know. So we know that the volume is 956. 1/3 pi, our radius is 9 squared times our height. So 9 squared, 9 times 9 is going to be 81. Divide by 3 gives us 27 pi times the height equals 956. 27 times 3.14 is 84.78. We need to figure out what that h is, so we're going to divide both sides by that 84.78, which gives us 11.276244. Remember, round to the nearest tenth, so our height of this cone is 11.3 feet. So that is finding the height of a cone. And for our final problem, we're going to do a word problem. So with this word problem, you must answer a trivia question before the sand in the timer falls to the bottom. The sand falls at a rate of 50 cubic millimeters per second. How much time do you have to answer the question? Okay, so we've got our timer here, and we've got 24 millimeters is the height, 10 millimeters is the radius of the amount of sand that's there in our cone. So remember our area, our formula for volume. Okay, so we have volume equals 1/3 pi times our radius, which is 10, squared times 24. So 10 squared times 24, and divide that by 3, gives us 800 pi. So 800 times 3.14 gives us a volume of 2,512 millimeters cubed. Now our word problem wants to know how much time do you have to answer the question. So we're going to take that volume and we're going to multiply it by the rate that the sand falls. So the sand falls at a rate of 50 cubic millimeters per second. Okay, so we have 2,512 millimeters cubed. We're going to multiply that by our rate of 1 second over 50 millimeters cubed. We're going to cross out our units. So we have 2512 over 1 times our 50, or 1 second over 50. So when we multiply these together, we end up with 50.25 seconds. Remember, when we multiply straight across, it ends up being 2512 over 50, which is that 50.25 seconds. So we have about 50 seconds to answer that question. Right, those are your notes for finding the volume of cones. What you are going to do now are the questions in the on your own sections. We will be going over those in class when we meet on Zoom, so make sure you have those done and we'll go over those answers. And make sure that you have your notes written down so you can use those on your homework and later when you take your test. And I will see you in class.